Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by PillPack, a full-service pharmacy that combines convenient packaging, modern technology, and personalized service to make your life easier. Visit pillpack.com/twit to save $20 on vitamins and OTCs when you transfer your prescriptions. By the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Right now, get free expedited FedEx shipping when you go to ring.com/hamnation. And by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode 232 for January 27th, 2016. Rock and Rollin' with Gordo. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Ham Nation. I'm George, W5JDX here in Jackson, Mississippi tonight, getting ready for our Ham Fest coming up this weekend. Down to my south a little bit, I've got our good friend Don Wilbanks. Say hello, Don.
Hello, Don. What's that? I was looking forward to the Jackson Ham Fest. Not going to be able to make it this year, unfortunately. We had a death in the family. My wife's uncle passed away, so not going to make Jackson. But next year, we'll make Jackson. But I do have some news coming up a little bit later on in the show for fans of Tim Allen and Last Man Standing that you're going to want to listen for, George. It's good stuff.
Ah, cool. We'll be looking for that, Don. I think I know what you're going to say, and people are really looking forward to that. Bob is not with us this week. I know the last we heard of him, he was hanging out with some guy out in Costa Mesa. Hi, Gordo.
Well, hi there, George. And you're right. Bob and Sarah were here just a day or so ago and now are winging their way back. Now, many of you may be winging your way to the Puerto Rico Ham Fest. An Angel, WP3GW, says it's going to be big, with leading manufacturers going to be there this weekend, and new ARRL President Rick Roderick, K5UR, will be there as well. So have a great time, you folks in Puerto Rico this weekend, while most of us play up here on VHF and UHF for the big weekend that's coming up. And I'll see the East Coast down south in about 2.5 weeks from now for the Orlando Hamcation. And that proves to be a great show where we'll be offering the Instructor Academy as we did a few days ago out here. So, Orlando, I'm coming to town in about 2.5 weeks. See you soon. And for Last Man Standing, John Amadeo is a proud member, as I am, of the Great South Bay Amateur Radio Club. And all of us hosts thought that we would be thinking of you on the East Coast that have endured a lot of sleet, rain, snow, and more snow. In fact, the snowball right here, I've got... Oh, wait a minute. That's not a snowball. It looks like a snowball. Actually, it's a piece of quartz, and who knows whether or not there is gold in our hills. So, Victor, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and roll the QuartzSite review. QuartzSite is a great training for ham operators because you know to rely only on what you have on hand. And that was post hole diggers, and I've never run them before, but I learned very quickly that it is painful the next day. And the post hole diggers were for our bulletin board that Dave said that we really needed. And Dave, our fearless leader, was absolutely correct. The bulletin board reader board went up, the holes were dug, and the wind couldn't knock it down. We had all sorts of signage thanks to Neil. And when folks pulled into the dirt, they were greeted by the team, the great team of blue-dressed volunteers. Even AC was there to give you a very warm welcome to the QuartzFest 2016 get-together. This time we had tents for greeting the newcomers, as well as beside the welcome tents for some of our seminars. And there's Heather. She's also smiling as one of the hard workers inside the Welcome Center. And it was a great time. And as soon as we got the holes dug and the center open, the team started to get more and more hams pouring in. 820 at final count. Thanks, Tracy, and for doing all that great work. And Marilyn for doing all the work and keeping track of tent campers as well. We had tents all over the place. And, of course, for the tent campers, Russ is saying you got to have a place for them to potty. So we brought in even a couple of porta potties, not realizing that 2 would never serve 800 people. Ladies were everywhere, and they had meetings and get-togethers nearly everywhere, every single day. Here you can see the brand-new tents, and it worked out well. But our crowd was overflowing. That's the special event station, W7Q, in the background, that antenna. And the special event station was quite popular at QuartzFest because it had all sorts of different rigs. People brought in their own rigs, and we see some great digital as well. So there was a little bit of everything at the special event station where there was very little wind but plenty of sunshine. Hey, what's on 475? Well, that is Ward's licensed beacon, and that is possibly going to be a new band for us shortly. We were picking it up hundreds of miles away on the ICOM 9100 and other rigs. That's Neil, W6FOG. Neil is the brains behind so many things, including quadcopters. He had a great talk about safety and the new FAA regulations regarding quadcopters. Drew quite a crowd. And when the quadcopter took off, it was quite a sight. In fact, the town manager of Quartzsite wanted to have him do flyovers and take pictures a few days later. So it was quite popular in the sky, day and night. Look, there is Mr. Yezu. And Chris Wilson was there to talk about the latest of what's happening with ham radio equipment coming in from their particular company. And he had a whole fireside chat with about 100 of us listening in. A small little 40-watt PA is what we used at the different sites. Next year, we got to kick it up to 100 watts because a little 40-watter wouldn't do when you have an overflow crowd like this hanging on the outside of the tent. In fact, we're going to need to separate our training areas for more room. And there's Marilyn. She says, let's do some gold panning. We didn't realize that non-ham events would draw such a crowd. Well, Marilyn showed us how to gold pan, and we all did the stuff, and we thought, yeah, this is pretty cool, expecting to have absolutely nothing. And when we finally got to sloshing the pans and pails and everything, look at this. Those are tiny gold nuggets. Well, Marilyn didn't tell us ahead of time, but she did some gold prospecting with a regular group, and I think she seeded a little bit of those gold. There's Don Wilson talking all about antenna tuners that are fully automatic, and it was show and tell. No talking heads here. Same thing with battery technology. Nope, this one doesn't burst into flames. That's bicycle using lithium-ion batteries. So we had some great talks about batteries. The Hootenanny, there's Russ and his team. The Hootenanny turned into a giant sing-along and dance-along. We had a terrific time that evening at the QuartzSite Hootenanny. So music, not ham radio related. And the hams came in handy when folks turned on their computers to do an overhead program, and it wouldn't quite match the bright device. And hams came to the rescue, and we finally figured it out thanks to Tracy and Jody how to get everything all matched up. And that's Gary, ATV Gary on the right. Show and tell on antennas. Wow. With hundreds of campers, we saw loop antennas. This one was motorized. Wait a minute. Motorized? Where's the motor? Well, you guessed it. The motor is inside that upside-down homebrew pail garbage can. And this thing really worked slick. And it was quite a great low-noise performer. The week before QuartzFest, we entertained schools, 300 school children. Many of them turned out our final Saturday to actually take the examination that they've been preparing weeks on before we got there. And many of those kids are now licensed ham operators. Of course, bright and early on our final Saturday morning was the swap meet, and we all swapped all sorts of stuff, including stories and you name it. But you know, the best part of the swap meet were what the ladies brought. Yum, yum, yum. They had everything from great foods and jams and jellies. The ladies had quilts and were actively quilting on the spot. So it was real fun to do this. And that's Tracy and Jody and his team. And they're sort of relaxing after pulling off a huge event that week before with the schools. So it was a great participation. And Bob and Sarah Heil, to greet Susie and I, as soon as we pulled in the driveway, they just finished up their 50th anniversary in Anaheim of the Heil Sound at the big convention up there. And as you can see, he and Sarah were quite happy. All right, there's Heather. Dave and Heather were the chief organizers, and she was up from 6, actually 5 in the morning until probably midnight, constantly keeping everything going. She also taught Tai Chi. And one day we had off-road, and many of the off-roaders went well off-road when they became separated. But heck, what's a little hill like that? Dave every afternoon at 3:30, and Heather and Tracy would give away some great donated prizes on our prizes. And we had a lot of contests that were not ham radio related. And every day we had not 100, but 200 to 300 gathered around. So we've got to go from a 40-watt PA to a 100-watt PA next year, something we learned. And, of course, plenty of food and plenty of I forget what this was. Those are wood, and you put some sort of cookie dough on it, and it comes out, I don't know, but they were scrumptious. That's some of the neat things that you learn at Quartzsite. Of course, watch where you walk. There's a lot of cacti out there. Oh, what a pretty sight. We didn't have but 2 drops of rain, literally 2 drops, and the rest of the time at Quartzsite, where the 820 campers was clear blue skies and a little breeze. Plenty of food, and we had cast iron cooking, and we had great get-togethers where everybody brought a little bit of food and chow down. That's Tracy with his unique program of picking up winners, winner, for our every afternoon 3:30 p.m. raffle. And we had some great raffle prizes. So QuartzFest will be coming up again next year. And at night, we had talks on the stars. And the air was so clear you couldn't even see the 0.5 milliwatt laser trying to show off the different constellations. So we encourage all of you that if you're interested in gold panning, or in electronics, come to QuartzFest. No, I didn't find a single nugget that Marilyn had buried in all that sand. But, you know, it was sort of fun doing non-ham things, of which there were so many programs. These are some of the kids that passed their test. You bet. And they're from the schools in the surrounding area that Heather has been working so hard with. 300 plus, and they're going to be taking part in the ARRL ARISS program this year. So, wow, they'll be talking all the way to the space shuttle. So, QuartzFest, huge success, almost doubling the number of hams that were attending QuartzFest, and we just look forward to going over all of our notes, and as a committee, rather than just one person taking everything to do, the whole committee spread the work out, and it really made things happen. So for those of you on the East Coast, you were well represented. We've got your quartz, or maybe call it a snowball. We're thinking about you getting unsnowbound, and I'll look forward to seeing those of you in Florida at the Orlando Hamcation coming soon. So now I'm going to turn it back to, I think I turn it over to Don, and he may even tell you about the great South Bay Amateur Radio Club, John Amadeo's Last Man Standing. So, Don, over to you.
Yeah, we will get into that in just a little bit. But first, I want to talk to you about one of the great sponsors that we have on here, and that is a company called PillPack. You know, you get to be a certain age, you have to start taking more medications, or you, like you take a whole lot of vitamins, and then you have these pill bottles scattered all over the place. Your pantry is full, whatever. Go in to reach in for one, and 14 of them fall out. There's a better way, and this is it right here. PillPack. This is how it comes. everything is pre-dosed and pre-sealed in individual packets. And this is a whole lot nicer on your kitchen counter or bathroom counter or wherever you happen to have the various medications or over-the-counter things that you have to take. PillPack is cool. It was founded by a second-generation pharmacist and inspired to use technology and design to fix the pharmacy and deliver a better customer experience. Like I showed you, you get this lovely little blue box, and it's recyclable. That's how your PillPack comes. It's one, easy to relabel, has an image of every medication and the directions right there on it. They're pre-sorted. And PillPack delivers your meds and vitamins into these easy-to-tear packets. They're individually labeled, a date and time for each dose, and they use robots, PillPack does, and digital imaging technology along with pharmacist oversight to ensure that every PillPack is accurate and just right. And people are still a very important part of the equation. Pharmacists, you can't do without them, and PillPack has them, and they're available 24/7 from the privacy of your own home, so no more long lines or awkward conversations at the pharmacy or, well, it's closed. You can't come at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. How about I'm working at 8? Well, I'm sorry. It's all over with PillPack. 24/7, 365 pharmacist on call. And they proactively call your doctor for you to manage all of your refills so you never run out. And there's no cost beyond what your standard copay is. And there's no charge for shipping either. It's always free. PillPack is compatible with most major insurance plans, including most forms of Medicare Part D. When you sign up for PillPack, they make sure that your insurance is all done for you before they transfer any meds over. Switching is ultra easy, too. You can do it right there on the secure site. Everything is taken care of. Time Magazine recognized PillPack as one of the top 25 inventions. Jill Duffy gave it a great review in PC Magazine. They named it an editor's choice health service. There's also PillPack medication reminder app for your iDevice or the Apple Watch. PillPack, simple, convenient, and modern. You will not believe just how cool it is. And believe me, having this little blue box with the meds in it is so much nicer than having 47 different bottles. And there you can see everything is lined out right there on the back of it. And on each individual packet, you can see through the back. And the front has the time and the date and exactly what it is that you're going to be taking. I want you to go to pillpack.com/twit and sign up for it now. The site is beautiful. It only takes you 5 minutes. And you'll get a credit for $20 worth of vitamins and OTCs when you use the link to transfer your prescriptions. And you use pillpack.com/twit. Pillpack.com/twit. It's a better way to take your meds. It's the modern way, the 21st century way to take your meds. And I think you're going to like it. I really do. Pillpack.com/twit. All right, let's get into the news of the week with Amateur Radio Newsline, and then we'll have information about Last Man Standing. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 1995, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, January 27th, 2016. The annual ARRL board meeting took place January 15th and 16th, and some of the results made our Newsline team extremely proud.
Amateur Radio Newsline's 1997 Young Ham of the Year recipient, Brian Milishowski, in 5ZGT, was elected as Vice President of the ARRL. Milishowski was currently serving as a Rocky Mountain Division Director, and to fill his shoes in that role is Vice Director Dwayne Allen, WY7FD, who will become the new Rocky Mountain Division Director. When Brian was asked how he felt about his newly elected position, he had this to say: "We Young Ham of the Year kids are sure causing some good trouble." Also, AR Newsline's 2004 Young Ham of the Year recipient, Andrea Hartledge, KG4IUM, was elected by the board to another term as director on the ARRL Foundation. In other election news, with ARRL President Kay Craigie in 3KN stepping down after 3 terms, a new president and several other officers have also been elected during the annual board meeting. Rick Roderick, K5UR, previously the first vice president, has been elected as the next president for the ARRL. Greg Wyden, K0GW, previously the Dakota Division Director, was elected as first vice president. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Amanda Alden, K1DDN.
Congratulations, Brian and Andrea. Amanda has more in her full report, and you can hear it in this week's Amateur Radio Newsline. As winter bears down on the Northeast, some folks in Florida are using the opportunity as a training exercise. On Monday, January 18th, when Florida temperatures plummeted, Henry County, Florida Emergency Management deployed workers to 2 cold weather shelters on either side of the huge county They included Andrew Frame, WD4RCC, and his wife Brandy, as well as Frank Harris Sr., WA4PAM. Both Frank and Andrew are EM reservists as well as hams. All the while, EM Director Brian Newhouse, KJ4WIC, transported supplies, the area's homeless, and did troubleshooting. With local municipal support, the hams, working with a trained group of non-hams, kept things running smoothly, according to Andrew Frame. He credits the recent emphasis on cross-training county emergency service responders and radio amateurs. And he said this cold snap was the first test of how well that cross-training across multiple disciplines really worked. He said, quote, "It puts everyone more or less on the same page, or at least the same chapter in the book," end quote. One of the next stages in cross-training, getting the community emergency response team volunteers ready for their technician license exam.
January is turning out to be a key month in more ways than one for the Straight Key Century Club.
The club's annual month-long event, K3Y, got underway on January 2 and continues through January 31. But this year it also marks the 10-year anniversary for this club of CW enthusiasts. The Straight Key Century Club was founded in 2006, following the ARRL's Straight Key Night event that same year. The on-air party is an invitation to all hams to experiment with their Morse code skills using straight keys, bugs, and sideswipers. K3Y operators will be working stations in each of the U.S. call areas, and there will be other stations in each of the 6 IARU continental regions using call signs with KH6, KL7, and KP4. QSL cards and, of course, sweep certificates will also be available. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG in Bloomington, Indiana.
Congratulations on 10 years of pounding the brass. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for over 37 years and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Amanda Alden, K1DDN, Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. All right, this is where we normally have the solar update, but Tamitha is missing in action again this week. I did hear from her. She has been extremely busy with her job since coming back from doing her talk in New Orleans a few weeks ago. And her father is still having some health issues, so continue to keep him in your prayers. We will try to have Dr. Tamitha Scove back with us next week. But I have some news for fans of Last Man Standing. This Friday, pull this picture up, Victor. This is a great shot. This is the group shot. They are going to be celebrating their 100th episode Friday, and that's the celebration that they had. And they're going to actually. This is kind of a neat. I got an email from John Amadeo, NN6JA, who is the producer. He says, as long as we've been working, had a working radio station on the set of Last Man Standing, hams have been asking, how can we contact the stage? The licensed amateur radio operators on the crew of LMS have formed the Last Man Standing Amateur Radio Club, LMS-ARC, and it has the club call sign KA6LMS. And here's a look at the QSL card. Brand new QSL card. They plan to be on the air during the dinner breaks on Monday and Tuesday shoot days. So look for KA6LMS on 20 and 40 meters between 4 and 5 p.m. Pacific time. The station will be manned by crew members and selected guest operators. Stations that successfully work KA6LMS receive the club station QSL card attached. And vicariously, as it turns out, you will receive my QSL card on there too, because I'm on the wall. John pointed that out. He emailed me and he said, look, Don, your card's on our card. And it is. It's right up there. If you look at the green wall where the jackets are, you see the 3-frame pictures. And the very first QSL card, right there by that picture, that's my QSL card up on the wall of the station. Gordon, yours is probably up there too. I know Amanda, K1DDN, I think hers is up there. Valerie's is up there. George's is up there. The late Bill Pasternak's is up there. Dale's is up there. Man, just about everybody involved with Ham Nation or Newsline has their card up there. So that is the KA6LMS QSL card for the new Last Man Standing Amateur Radio Club. So that is just as cool as that can be. So again, be listening for them Mondays and Tuesdays on their shooting days between 4 and 5 p.m. Pacific time for their dinner breaks on 20 and 40 meters. So there you go. So there's your news and a little television information for you as well. And now we want to talk to you about another sponsor that we have, and that is Ring. We talked about this last week. Last week was the first time they've been on. Ring is cool. Ring is a doorbell, and it's not just a doorbell. It's a video Wi-Fi internet-connected doorbell. You're all familiar with the sound of a doorbell. It means that somebody's dropping off a package or friends are coming over for dinner, but it's also could be the sound of someone planning to rob you, because over 95% of home break-ins happen during the day, and burglars almost always start by ringing your doorbell to see if someone's home before forcing their way in and relieving you of your possessions. With the Ring Video Doorbell, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world. They have advanced motion detection that alerts you even if someone doesn't ring the doorbell. Someone walks by it, you get a little thing on your phone, your iPhone or your Android phone. It sounds like a wind chime, and you can look and see exactly what's going on there without them knowing it. And should you choose to talk to them, you can. If it's just like for me, my son going out and feeding the dogs, then you just kind of spy on them for a little bit. Well, anyway, with the Ring Video Doorbell, you can talk, like I said, to delivery people, keep an eye on your package. And if someone tries to mess with it, you get an instant alert and HD video of the whole thing. It's like having a neighbor keep an eye on your place 24/7. Now, this is some video that it comes from my Ring doorbell. So go ahead and get that going. This is great. My son actually.
Have fun.
There's my wife. Talk to her. Here's my son. This is great. Listen to this.
Sunshine.
Dad, I'm locked out. Open the door.
No, he wants dinner, Gordon.
Can you get me Subway on the way home?
Now listen to this. Here, motherly advice. Listen, Gordon.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Don't come to the door naked either.
Not naked.
Don't come to the door naked, for crying, and especially at my house, because my wife will chastise you for it. That's just a little bit of the personal video from my Ring. You can see FedEx bringing something, and of course Tyler feeding the dogs. That's great, because did you feed the dogs today, son? Yes, I did. Well, how come the bowl's empty? I fed them. Are you sure you fed them? Yes, I fed them. Do I have to go to the video? Okay, I'll go feed the dogs. And it just takes a few minutes to install it. It's easy as it can be. Works with your current wiring or the built-in rechargeable battery. I just recharged mine last night, as a matter of fact. Put your mind at ease. Protect your home with the video doorbell that Time Magazine and USA Today named one of their top 10 gadgets of 2015. Go to ring.com/hamnation for free expedited FedEx shipping. Ring.com/hamnation. With Ring, you are always home. It is the coolest thing since I don't know what, but I love it, and I think you should get a Ring. You should get a Ring doorbell. You can get one for the front door and the back door. Just the coolest thing. And George, what's going on with smoke and solder, George?
Well, we're going to continue talking about what we were talking about for the past couple of weeks. First, I want to mention that we just posted episode 13 of Ham College. Tommy and I shot that this past Friday. We talked about the history of SOS, and we also told you everything you needed to know about transistors to pass your technician exam. So go check that out if you're studying for your technician, hamcollege.tv. You know, I showed you one of these. We began, well, can you even see it? There we go. Yeah, thanks, Victor. We began talking about the Smith chart here 2-3 weeks ago, and I've been teasing you with it. And yes, I'm going to do it one more time, but after this episode, our smoke and solder here, we're going to know what we need to do so that we can start using that Smith chart next month. Now, watch the segment here as we talk about VSWR this week, but at the end of it, you'll see a link on there where you can download a version of this Smith chart that I'm using here, and I'll encourage you to go download that and print it out before next week so you'll be ready to plot along at home. This week on Smoke and Solder, we're going to talk about VSWR. Every ham needs to understand SWR in order to maximize their transmission system. When a transmitter is connected to an antenna by a feed line, the impedance of the antenna and feed line must match exactly for maximum energy transfer from the feed line to the antenna to be possible. The impedance of the antenna varies based on many factors, including the antenna's natural resonance at the frequency being transmitted, the antenna's height above ground, and the size of the conductors used to build the antenna. When an antenna and feed line do not have matching impedances, some of the electrical energy cannot be transferred from the feed line to the antenna. Energy not transferred to the antenna is reflected back toward the transmitter. It's the interaction of these reflected waves with forward waves that causes standing wave patterns. Reflected power has three main implications in radio transmitters. The RF energy losses increase, there's distortion on the transmitter due to the reflected power from the load, and damage to the transmitter can occur. This animation shows two traveling waves. The blue wave is traveling to the right, and the red wave is traveling to the left. Here, both waves have the same amplitude, the same frequency, and the same wavelength. The black signal represents the energy of these two waves combined. As these waves pass through each other and add together, they create a standing wave. That's a pattern which neither moves left or right, but simply oscillates up and down as a function of time. The amplitude of this standing wave is twice that of the individual waves when the two waves are in phase, so that the peaks and valleys line up. The amplitude of the standing wave is 0 when the two waves are completely opposite in phase, so that the peaks of one wave line up with the valleys of the other. The two waves' amplitude then cancel each other out. A great way to demonstrate standing waves is shown in the 1959 Bell Telephone Laboratories film with Dr. John Shive. Using a mechanical wave machine, Dr. Shive shows a visual representation of what standing waves look like.
This time you see the wave is reflected upside down. The reflection is still total as it was before, but the wave is inverted upon reflection.
I highly recommend you check out this film at the ATT archives. If we know the forward and reflected power of a circuit, we can calculate the SWR using the formula VSWR equals 1 plus the square root of reflected power divided by forward power over 1 minus the square root of reflected power divided by forward power. Let's solve the VSWR equation for the forward power and reflected power shown on this digital meter. 40.5 watts forward and 1.8 reflected. So we'll plug 1.8 into the two reflected power positions and 40.5 into the two forward power positions. Next, we can divide 1.8 by 40.5 and simplify the equation using the result of 0.0444444. Then we'll simplify one more step by getting the square root of 0.0444444. Now we solve 1 plus 0.2108184, and that equals 1.2108184. And we'll solve 1 minus 0.2108184, and that gives us 0.7891816. We divide the top number by the bottom one, and we've got a VSWR of 1.5341 to 1. Let's compare that with the results displayed on the Applied Engineering Science digital reflectometer. It says 1.54. With rounding, we're only off by 0.001. I suspect that slight difference is because the actual measurements sampled in the reflectometer are more precise than those displayed. Now we know how to convert forward and reflected power into VSWR. Next time we'll take a first look at using a Smith chart. I would encourage you to download and print out the Smith chart at the link displayed here so that you can follow along at home. There you go. Grab your Smith chart sometime between now and next week, and we'll start putting some dots and some lines on it and just have a real big time there. You know, last week I asked a question, who coined the term impedance? Because we were talking about impedance. Well, I had an answer on that, and it came from KY3R, Bob Keller, and he says Oliver Heaviside coined the term. And that's correct, Bob. The term impedance was coined by Oliver Heaviside in July of 1886. Arthur Kinley was the first to represent impedance with complex numbers a few years later in 1893. Now I've got another question for this week. Oh, well, first, let me tell you what Bob won. He won this DX Engineering canvas tote bag. We looked at that last week, and I told you how heavy duty this canvas bag is, that, it's like similar to the type of materials that a tower climber would use. And, I use mine on field day and events such as that where I need to carry coax and extension cords and such because it's good heavy duty. Well, I tell you what, Bob, we're going to give you something to put in that bag, and that will be DX Engineering. What is the number of this? They call it 400 Max Coax. It's a large size coax. It feels similar to LMR 400. I'm not sure if that's what it is or what it's comparable with, but it sure feels like good coax. It's got these connectors on it here that Don and I like so much, the custom DX Engineering connectors. So congratulations, Bob. We're going to send you the bag, and we're going to send you some coax to go with it. For next week, I've got another question here, and that is, what does VSWR stand for? If you think you know the answer to that, send it to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could win the MFJ 4422 digital volt-amp meter. It measures from 3.5 to 40 volts DC and 30 max amps. So this would be great to use in your auto or really with your Go kit. It'd be great for that too. It's got power pole connectors on it already. If you don't have power poles on your gear, well, it comes with a couple of sets of power pole connectors here so you can install them. A great little device, really great to have with your Go kit or any battery-powered gear where you need to keep up with your remaining voltage and, how much current you're drawing. Well, we're going to give you something else, not just this, but if you can tell me what VSWR stands for and we draw your name, we're also going to send you 50 feet of this DX Engineering 400 Max coax. So great reasons to tell me what you think VSWR stands for. hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could be next week's lucky winner. Well, right now, let's bring Val in here and see if she's got her internet connection up and running there and what she wants to talk about in the wide, wide world of DX this week.
Well, hello, everybody. Unfortunately, I'm having internet difficulties. It's not me. It's the company. They're working on it. We hoped it'd be up by time I came on. But I did have some stuff to show you live here before I go to my video. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So we're going to go to a video that I did on what to do when you send those cards, your QSL cards out, that you need QSL confirmations from other countries that you need that don't use LOTW. Once you get those cards in, what to do with those next. So if you want to go ahead and roll that, Victor. All right, for those of you who have a really good memory, back on episode 151 of Ham Nation, June of 2014, I did a segment on how to send your cards out to get confirmation from DXCC entities that do not use LOTW. Well, now that you're getting those cards, here's what you do with them next. So you'll need to go to the ARRL website, which is ARRL.org. Now, if you live in the United States, you do need to be an ARRL member to take advantage of the DXCC program. If you live outside of the United States, you do not. So go to the ARRL website, and then you're going to click on the air and go down to the DXCC program. And when you click that, you will see the DXCC online application. Go ahead and click that, and then that'll take you to this page, and click that very top ARRL DXCC online application system. Now you want to make sure, once you're here, that you are logged in, because then it has all your information stored. Go ahead and click your Enter QSOs. And when you click that, it'll take you to the screen where you can start entering all the QSO information from the cards that you have. So you want to take your cards and enter all the information on that as you see it on your card into the online application system. And so go ahead and type that all in for each QSO on each card. Now, some cards contain more than one QSO. You might as well type that in too. in case maybe not now, but down the road you might be chasing banned countries. And what's really nice is they have all these drop-down menus which will help to keep you from making a mistake. But of course, we're all human and we all make mistakes. So as soon as you're done entering the QSO, you're going to want to go through and double check before you hit save that everything you entered is correct. But don't worry, if you do accidentally hit the save button, and you need to make a correction, there will be a spot at the end where you can make any changes. So once it's correct, hit save. So it's stored that QSO and it's ready for you to enter your next QSO. So you're going to want to enter that and then just keep going till all your cards have been entered. And of course, double check it again before you hit the save. And if it's correct, hit save. Okay, I'm going to stop here because all it offers me here is the Philippines. And if you look at my card, it's actually Spratly Island. So when you hit something like that, you're going to click the All Other DXCC Entities. And then that's going to give you every DXCC entity, and then you can go find the specific one that wasn't showing in the drop-down. Now back to entering more QSOs. Finally, they're all entered. So now if you just slide on down, it's going to show everything you entered, and you can go through and double check one last time. And this is where you can make any other edits. As you see, there's an edit button there in case you need to make any changes. Once you know everything's good, hit Submit DXCC Application, and it's going to take you down here. And like I said, it's going to pre-fill all your information in there since you're an ARRL member. Now, if this is your first time going for DXCC, which is your first 100 countries, you're going to hit that top box that you're going for a new award or any other new award you're going for. The rest of us are going to hit the endorsement box. Make sure everything is correct and then hit continue. And this is going to take you to the screen that shows all the QSOs you entered. Go down to the bottom, click continue. That brings us to the payment page. Now, it'll automatically estimate your cost for you. And if you are a Diamond member or higher, there is no cost. It's free. So click continue. And then on this page, check any boxes that need checking and click continue again. And now you just want to scroll down to the very bottom and click submit application. It'll ask you if you're sure and hit OK. And the last thing you want to do is view application. And that's going to bring up the DXCC award application along with the record sheet. So when that comes up, you can go down and see the application there. And then below that is your record sheet of all the QSOs. You're going to want to print this up, bring this with you along with your cards to your card checker. Now, you can find card checkers usually at a lot of the larger ham fests. And I want to take you back real quick to the original online DXCC page. Go to learn more. And that's where you can see the fee schedule for if you're going to do it through LOTW, through the online application, or through a paper log. And there they are. So again, make sure your application is complete, accurate. Make sure your cards are in the same order as your DXCC record sheet so you can be kind to your ARRL card checker because remember, they're volunteers. By the way, you guys in the chat room, can you recognize that XYL checking cards right there? That's Kay Craigie, president of the ARRL. All right. Well, I also wanted to show you guys how to make a payment through that section, but it wouldn't allow me to since I'm a Diamond member or higher. But when you get to that payment page, there is a payment tab, and you can pay online to the ARRL. So hopefully that'll help you guys out in getting your cards over to a card checker and done right, so their job goes as smoothly as possible. As far as DXing going on right now, the K5P, the Palmyra DXpedition just ended. As a matter of fact, the guys are on an airplane right now heading back to Hawaii. And they made over 75,000 QSOs with just 9 operators. So that was pretty successful DXpedition. The VP8 DXpedition going on right now, I don't know if those of you heard, if you want to show that first slide, Brian. They actually had a little bit of trouble. They planned to be there for 8 days. That would be slide 1, Brian. They planned to be there for 8 days, and there's an iceberg split in 2. And one of the icebergs was heading right for the landing site. So the captain of the Braveheart declared an emergency and had them leave the island with basically the shirts on their back. They had to leave all their personal equipment and radio equipment and antennas behind to get onto the Braveheart before that iceberg got in the way of them being able to get off the island. So they just went out a little bit out at sea and waited a day, and were able to come back in the next day, retrieve all their personal items and their equipment. So yes, they are heading to South Georgia right now. If you want to show the second slide, this is where they were located. There's actually a locator. There's the website if you want to go and watch the boat heading towards South Georgia right now. It has a little GPS on it, or APRS on there, so you can track it. And then they'll soon be on South Georgia, which is the next slide. And they hope to be there for 8 days. Hopefully they'll be there the second to last day or first of February. So that's coming up within the next week. So look forward to the VP8 SGI. And once they're done with that DXpedition, the Braveheart is going to head back over to the Falklands and pick up the crew and head them over to Heard Island, which is the next slide. And that's going to be going on March through April. They're going to be there for quite some time. Hopefully they're going to get there the first to second week in March and end towards the beginning of the second week of April. Also coming up in March is another one on the top 10 most wanted, and that's Wanda Nova. That's going to be March 29th through April 11th. As far as contesting goes, I just did a screenshot. If you go to the next slide, that's all the contests coming up this week. If you go to the Whiskey Alpha 7 Bravo November Mike calendar, you can always look at a glance for what's all coming up this week. And the two big ones are the January VHF contest and the Winter Field Day. So that's all I've got for this week. Hopefully I'll be back next week with Internet. You guys all have a great week, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks. And we'll head it over to ICOM now.
Get into HF this winter season. Whether you're just starting out, a ham on the go, or an operator wanting to upgrade your shack, ICOM has a radio for you. Looking for that practical rig to get you communicating on the HF bands, the IC718 combines DSP technology in a compact size. It's durable and great for casual HF operating, and it's got easy to use and other attractive features not found in other entry-level radios. Want a solid HF radio in a small footprint? Consider the rugged, water-resistant IC7200. It's perfect to take on your next RV adventure. Or set it up as an emergency station for your MCOM group. The 7200 offers simplified operation and features for voice, CW, and digital modes. Searching for that high-performing radio for everyday use? Try the IC7410. Casual and seasoned operators alike will love this HF radio. It builds upon ICOM's celebrated IC746 Pro. It includes faster DSP and built-in 15 kHz first IF filter, band scope, antenna tuner, and more. Does your shack need an update? How about the IC7100? You can use this mobile rig as a touchscreen base station. The separate operating controller is great for hams with limited shack space. You can even explore D-Star digital features, multi-band, and all-mode operation. Make sure you visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM's selection of HF radios. And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation and register for some great swag prizes like t-shirts or hats. And while you're there, you can learn how you could win the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for January, that grand prize is going to be the ICOM ID880H VHF UHF digital transceiver with switchable VHF UHF band, analog and D-Star, wideband receiver, free cloning software, and a lot more. And this is the last week that you can register to win this January prize, so go do it after Ham Nation tonight. icomamerica.com/hamnation. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow ICOM America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And now let's bring in Amanda for our chat room session on the show. And Amanda, we do have Gordo with us tonight.
Okay, great. It's nice to have Gordo. You guys, I have to move it along here. I'm so sorry. My dog is sick, and she is doing this dance around the door, so I'm going to move it along here. I really apologize because I have some good questions too, but it's her night tonight, and that's it. So, George, first of all, the first question I had for you is, can you mention the website where you can find the Smith chart? You mentioned it earlier. Can you repeat it?
I didn't mention it. It's a bit.ly link, and it was a real bizarre number on it, so I just showed it on the screen there. Hopefully, it'll make it to the show notes, and you can go to the Twit Wiki, look up this episode of Ham Nation, and we should have the link there.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. The next question, Gordo, nice to have you back, by the way. And this question, I can't remember who it was from, but they mentioned that you had a 9100 in the background of your shack there. It says, I realize that he does works 10 gigahertz. What other frequencies does he work with that?
All right. Thanks, Amanda. And we have all of our pet paws crossed for your dog. I know he'll get well, or she'll get well soon. The 9100 is the one that we took to QuartzSite now for the fourth time, and it just keeps right on rolling. It got covered in sand, and it was quite a great performer. The 9100 does 1.2 gigs with an add-on module. It does 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and it does all of 6 and the HF bands, 10 through 160 meters. It doesn't go all the way down below the broadcast band on transmit, but it has a transverter capability. So when they open up that 400 kilohertz band, hopefully soon, we'll be able, with a transverter, to use this radio down there. So it's all mode, HF, VHF, UHF, and with the installed 1.2 module, it's ready to roll. For 10 gigahertz, that's really a transverter. And again, this radio can take a transverter and bring the 10 gigahertz transverter down to either 2 meters or 10 meters.
Awesome. That's quite the radio there. Quite the spectrum. Now, I'm going to limit it to those questions, because like I said, I'm hearing the pause in the background. I just have to make a couple of announcements that I promised I would make. Rhett from Mission Bay Amateur Radio Club would love to announce that Derek KK6 WMI has upgraded to a general, and they're just so happy as a club to announce that. Anything else? I think there is another Ham Fest coming up, the Orlando Hamcation, but Gordo, you already covered that, so we're good to go. So with that, you guys, I had a lot of questions for Val tonight, and she got dropped, so unfortunately, that's all I have. So I'm going to send it over to George, and you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, Amanda. And again, we wish your pooch the very best of regained health. And good news, this weekend, we're hoping for some good band conditions, maybe even a sporadic E-opening for 6 meters. So you 6-meter buffs will tune you in at 50.125 and up. If you tune below 50.125, if you start hearing CW beacons, it means the band is open. So I'll meet you all at 50.125 and higher, and let's work on the 6-meter band for this weekend's VHF UHF contest. Of course, I'll be on 2 sideband and 432.1 sideband. And look behind me. That's the Amateur Television Network. And Gary, that is a big supporter of the Amateur Television Network, who was out at QuartzFest. Well, he'll probably be on ATV on 400 as well as digital. And Don Hill, Don's the mesh man. Don, thank you so much for replaying what we're doing here on Amateur Television Network. So for those of you that says, well, I'm getting a little tired of just running my handy, think about amateur television, fast scan TV, even slow scan that Gary was able to do for the schools. There's so much out there. So if you're getting bored with whatever you're doing on FM, step into the VHF UHF contest this weekend and have fun and try different modes. Just like what you see behind me, they're making ham radio happen a little bit different. Gary and Don Hill, thanks so much for your support this past 2 weeks. All right, let's go back to George, and George will do the wrap-up. See you all next week.
Okay, Gordo, there is one question I wanted to ask you. You showed us the snowball. Well, it wasn't a snowball. It was some quartz earlier. What is the resonant frequency of that rock that you had there?
Well, you know, I was going to hook up a resonant frequency meter, but due to the thickness of this particular crystal, maybe this will get me down to 472 kilohertz, or was it 474 kilohertz where the experimental beacons are, and get me on the air. So I will report next week, but of course I can't transmit yet on the 400 kilohertz band yet until it becomes approved. Back to you.
Okay. Good to know, Gordo. We could work you rock bound someday coming up here in the near future. Well, thanks everyone for being here. Gordo mentioned about this weekend being the contest. Also, if you're in the South, I'd encourage you to stop by Jackson, Mississippi at the annual Capital City Ham Fest going on at the Trade Mart here. I'll be down there. Tommy will be there. Don was not going to be able to make it after all this weekend, but it'll be a great ham fest there. It's always a lot of fun and big crowds there. So stop by the Capital City Ham Fest in Jackson, Mississippi this weekend, msham.org if you want more information on that. And be sure to use that link that I gave you earlier. It's the Smith chart you can download. This actually came from Wikipedia. So if you can't find that link, go to Wikipedia, and it's right there at the very top of the article. Download your Smith chart, print it out, because you'll want it next week when we start plotting data on there. Well, thanks for being here, for Don, for Val, for Amanda, and Gordo and myself. We appreciate you dropping in. Join us again next Wednesday at the same time for another exciting adventure in Ham Nation.
And here you all on the air, 40 meters, 72-78, coming in strong now, 73.